we ready to start? I'd like to first of all read out a note which says that under section 1(4)(b), public bodies brackets admission to meetings Act 1960 as amended by the Openness of Local Government Bodies Regulations 2014. This meeting will be audio recorded for the purposes of openness and transparency. It is a legal requirement that anyone be allowed to record the meeting. If you're under the age of 18, anybody here under the age of 18, or a safeguarding adult, then you may be exempt from being included in recording if you make yourself known to the clerk at the start of the meeting.
Anyone identifying as under 18?
If only.
Thank you.
Can I ask why the meeting's not being recorded before?
Because we didn't feel it was necessary.
Well, it has been necessary because the minutes have been obviously manipulated in the past.
I don't believe there have been.
You're the only one who does.
Still not.
So, apologies for absence.
Apologies from Mr. Kyle Thornley and Mr. Ian Thornley due to COVID, and Councillor Graham Minshaw.
Convenient.
Councillor Graham Minshaw of Copeland is unable to attend due to the fact he's at work this evening.
What about the county council?
Yeah, and Norma's going to have to duck out because she's got prior commitments, so Norma will be heading off at some point.
Yeah. Any requests for dispensations and declaration of interest? First of all, has everybody updated their register of interest?
Do you want me to send the form back round to everyone?
Yeah.
Yes, please. Yeah, I will do that.
Any requests for dispensation? The only one is that we're all technically members of the Rugby Club. Any declarations of prejudicial interest?
In the Rugby Club? No. Oh, so.
Anybody have a prejudicial interest?
I don't think so. I think we've all got interest in the Rugby Club and the community, but I don't think we've got one. You just tell us what you mean and move on.
Well, it's an interest which would prejudice. Anything all would be perceived to prejudice.
No.
Nobody
has,
You said, ask me to define.
I said you can't.
If you were going to benefit financially from anything we're going to do this.
I don't understand what the way is. Can I, before the meeting starts, Bex, is it alright if I...
Look, we still haven't got through.
Okay.
The next thing is to approve the minutes of the meeting held on the 9th of January and 7th of November 2022, as amended. Okay, so does anybody have any comments on the amendments to the November 22nd?
I have some. I would like to propose an amendment. Sorry, I would like to propose amendment to the January minutes.
No, I'm talking about the November meeting.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Just about the misread law. About the misread term that was put into the instead of all the people lose the allotments going forward, which was meant present past. That would be something. Is that actually going to be? I know there was a letter sent out, but no bet was
January.
Sorry. We're talking about the November minutes.
It's all about that.
No,
No, we're talking about November minutes. Is there any comments to make on the November minutes?
Yeah, right. Is no objection in November. No.
That's a translation. Okay. Nothing else there. Okay. And what about the January minutes?
Would you like to go? It's such a good thing.
I think the issue is I wasn't just the issue is we can't backdate your promotion, isn't it? So we've got to have grounds to be able to backdate that motion. However, it should be minuted because I did request it to be recorded that all allotments will be up for renewal in April anyway when we could close it. So that should already be.
Yeah. What you meant normal was like the allotments going, when we said going forwards, and if I actually tried around, we meant going the past and present.
Yeah,
That's what you meant.
yeah.
Not just after the date that we spoke about.
But we can do that.
No, we're supposed to do it now before the signing of it. So
Yeah,
once the signing, there'll be a legal document.
yeah. But the issue is we can't backdate it until it's put into the system, and then it has to be backdated.
I'm sorry, I think that if we don't sign these minutes off now, then the minutes will stand. So I have a problem with that in the January minutes. It was said that Norma said that it would, I'm sorry for speaking, Norma said that on the allotments going forwards, and what you meant was going forwards, the past all around, they wanted the allotments to be down to one household to one allotment. And it actually was put down as going forward, meaning like from January forwards, we were meaning behind as well.
Including existing tenancies.
Including existing tenancies.
I just don't want to spell it out. That's all.
I think we need to put in there is where it is it's legal practice that we want to affect going previously as well. Previous agreements. That would do related to previous agreements.
Past and present agreement, general, that's the word.
Where is it legal practice? That's acceptable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm trying to work, so which word do you want to move around and change?
It's just that I think the notion behind it, but where possible, it would affect existing tenants, not just new agreements.
Not where possible, for every
So
tenant.
Norma said going forwards, we would like to have one household to one allotment, and
One else.
Including
that
existing
sounds like it
tenancies.
means going forward, that means from January forwards. But we meant, what Norma meant was forwards and behind, past and present.
So that the
So
note,
she means in
No,
last
from
last year and this year.
so what I've written down, I'm looking at Norma now, and this is on the minutes that are to be signed today, is, and I'll read it all out so that it makes sense in a prosaic manner. Councillor Enboys proposed that going forward, where it is legally possible, that this applies to existing and future tenancies, only one allotment be allocated for each household, subject to the clerk checking the legalities of this and reporting back to the Feb 2023 meeting. Because that was the,
That's fair.
even if it's now, I still need to leave in that I'd report to this meeting because it,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That,
As long as the minutes are changed and it says past and present, that's
well, this will be the one that gets signed with those words as I've written here, and I can you can see these if you wish.
Yeah.
And then Mark, you need to make the meeting aware of the amendment that you emailed me about today, just so that, because I don't know whether all councillors have had a chance to see that.
was about, sorry, I think that was.
Councillor Mark emailed me today to ask that an additional 3
Amendment.
words were added in to the minutes related.
I've got it here. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay, well I'll let you.
So, we need to amend an item, amend the item 21 to 2023, I wish to propose an amendment on the 9th of January minutes in 15/2023, after the responsible financial officer to be inserted for a temporary period of up to 6 months. That was on the clerk agreement, because when you look on the agreement, it didn't say the temporary clerks was up to 6 months. It didn't say it at all. So it was, unless you've got it on there, but we couldn't find it.
Resolved by all present that Ms. Bex Carter be appointed as local clerk and RFO from the 1st of January, but it was for a period of 6 months. You need to put in.
Up to 6 months.
So I added that in there because I was told about it in advance, so that's a typed edition.
Yep.
And again, you can all see it if you wish.
Well,
And
No, that makes sense.
as I say, I have written the other amendment on, so that'll then be added and then uploaded to the website after tonight, subject to you approving.
Yeah. Okay. Is everybody approving of that? Okay. And is there any other comments that anybody's got on the minutes? Okay. So sign that.
Every page, please. Only on you only sign on top. Yes.
Next thing on the agenda. Yes. Steve. So, just to introduce, obviously there's some plans to do some work on the 595, and we're just interested in the impact on Moresby as well.
How long will this be? 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Is it necessary now?
Yeah.
Can if anybody's really interested, they can listen to this at the end.
No, I think this is.
Why?
I think it's a
Why?
delay
No,
tactic.
you're just
It's a delay
using diversity
tactic.
tactics again,
No, no.
Mr.
Of course,
Chairman.
yeah.
Just a
About
joke.
the A95 as well, bro. Nobody's here to listen about the A595 as well.
We are.
You know what we're here for?
We've only got a couple of comments to make, that's all about it.
It's all at the end.
Go on.
You can do it at the end.
Steve, get going.
Okay. Sorry about the screen. I do repeat this every Friday morning at Park Village Hall. I'm going to come back again towards the end of the time. I'll bring the screen. Please bear with me. Some of you in the room will recognise from previous events. I'm sure you may have seen this before. We're planning to do some work to 595. The embankment's not in a good condition. So we're going to have to do something about it. This is us starting it now. Long story short, I'm going to have to close the A595 to fix it. And I can't deny that. I can't deny it. I'm going to impact on everyone in this room. Sorry, yes.
Year 595, when we built the Joe Country,
Yeah.
I'm very busy. You were told then about the state of the embankment.
Yeah.
They spent a fortune on the hills, running things across. They were going to take the bypass around by the that was just a complete and utter waste of money that we did.
You're exactly right. I mean, every one of these events I've done, everyone's brought that issue up. I can't go back 15, 20 years and solve what someone left me.
This was when we were building the bypass. The other thing is, when they were building the bypass, the company that built the bypass said we would do it there and then, and you stopped them. That is correct.
You are right. I mean, I can't deny it. I can't deny it. Short-sightedness, what do? I can't turn the clock back. I need to fix the problem with the embankment. You know, that's what I mean. I can't deny it. It is a waste of money. You know, but we work for the government, we make mistakes. And that was a mistake.
Taxpayers.
So just going back to that gentleman's point there, you know where the embankment is, you've seen some of the terrace on the side there. You can see the footprint of it this side. It's a narrow embankment built with the slag from the mine shaft next door to it. Built on slag, we would never build them like that anymore. Back in 2014, we had an issue was identified, the bank was starting to move. The drains inside there are all broken. It's got holes inside it all, basically starting to wash out from the inside out. We're going to step in and solve that before it falls over. However, let's reverse back a second. One of our first plans was to look at this option here, make Rose Hill Junction redundant and tie in to what would have been the Whitehaven Relief Road. Well, when that fell over, this thing didn't stand up. The other side, with Toshiba's big pile of money, they went off into the distance and we lost that chance to invest and solve that, including the issue you mentioned earlier, with it being picked up in one sweep. Relief Road, all the issues there dealt with. The fact is the money was taken away from us. That's what happened. So I was left with, I won't show this video, this is what you could have had. I was left with fixing an inline repair.
The embankment's still there, so I'm now on the cheapest option. So taking the embankment from this shape to this shape. That's what we're planning on doing. One of the first options, given how busy the road is, was to build 2 lanes to the side of the embankment, so we get 2-way flow, or we build one side to the other. This option would have meant traffic lights on the A595 for about 12 months. Some of you may recall a gas leak before Christmas. When a gas leak on the embankment, huge back to Sellafield about 6 miles. That's what that would have resulted in. By going to a narrower option, single option, which means we close the A595 over 10 weekends. 12 months of traffic lights, 10 weekends of closures. Pick which is the best. It's all wrong. I can't solve it. It's going to be problematic anyways. The thing is, when we close it, we can do a whole host of other things. Rebuild the embankment, 25,000 cubic material. To do 2 large tunnels to fix the drains, and we're doing the tunnelling now. We've got a tunnel machine on site. A large swale where Casson's farm is. All that water for hillside comes down through the road, lies across the road. We're going to solve that with some cascades. We're going to build a large attenuation pond, so all the drains from Pelican Garage will end up in a pond, and it'll be controlled in the pond, so the pond will get bigger in winter, smaller in summer, and will discharge into Laukenbeck at a control rate through valves to solve all that flooding through that embankment. Whilst we have the road closed, we've got to divert the high pressure gas main through there. It's a fragile main, it's broken about 3 or 4 times in the last 5 years. Not very good. First task to move that. BT fibre optic. To move the BT fibre optic is £1.5 million just to move the cable out of the embankment. It feeds everything from here down to Sellafield and Millum and beyond. We've got 1.4 kilometres of curbs. We're going to improve the Rose Hill Junction. You've all seen the water running down the Rose Hill Junction. We're going to solve that. We're going to increase the merge lane of Howgate roundabout. Will it solve that? It'll do something, but it won't solve the whole problem, as the gentleman mentioned earlier. And we're going to resurface from Pelican Garage right the way through to Howgate. We're going to put a quieter surface through there, because you can see where the people live in the park straight. You're 10 metres from your bedroom window to the road surface. All the people along that straight there. So what we've done so far, so this is a picture of what we're building at the moment. We're building a large launch pit to drill under the embankment. So there'll be 2 900mm sized tunnels, this sort of size, for all the drains to come into. This is taking place in the next few weeks. We've got about 4 weeks of drilling on each tunnel. Then that'll be when we move on to the next stage. We've brought in lightweight fill, so this is the fill that we're going to go on the embankment. This is being brought into Workington. 2 ship loads are sitting there ready to be brought to site. And these are some of the issues we're going to try and solve. So, everyone's seen this picture before? New into Pelican Garage. This is a trunk road. You know, we don't get this part. This is only this part of the world. It gets even worse when you look at Rose Hill. Yeah, anyone seen this picture before? This video? Not good, is it?
The drains have never been up to take it over. And they were going to go by Casson's farm and build through there 30 years ago that I know of, and they stopped it.
The picture to the side is the stone culverts. That's what we're just discharging our drains into. Ancient stone culverts.
That drain right there, coming up on the left there, it floods up like a fire hydrant.
Yeah. So we're about to replace all of that. All new drains through there.
The attenuation tank, right?
Pond.
Well, attenuation pond. Have you taken into account the fact that we're going to have enforced on us by a road council 80 houses, they're going to have 80 houses worth of discharged water. We've already got a poor woman of 86 who's, if you watched the television last week on Rip Off Britain, she's still out of her house. She's still out of her house.
Yes.
Are you aware that you've got to cope with another 80 houses? Plus, you might have Harris Moor as well.
Yeah. So the moment we designed for a 1 in 100 year storm. Plus 40%. But the pond's got capacity. See, it's in the valley below. It's quite a large valley. We've got all that space to go into. The developments you're referring to will go through the development system, and they've got to show that you're not going to increase or affect the highway. We're there to drain the highway and and all the hills above that. We're there to capture all that water into our system, but it running down into Parton. That's what we're designed for. We put an element of risking, 40%, on top of what we need, you know, to try and give us some future proofing. Well, is that right? Well, I won't be in the future. None of us will be, you know. We won't know until 100 years' time.
The challenge should be, are you aware of potentially 80 houses going to be going into Laukerbeck?
Yeah.
And potentially a lot of the other estate that they're talking about using the surface water drains from all the other estate, from Eden Drive and Churchill Drive into the surface water and down Laukerbeck. So that's going to have a big impact on our beck when we have a look at it. So are you aware of it? Are you design?
We are. So when we meet with Cumbria County Council, acting as a local flood authority, they give us a discharge calculation into Laukerbeck. We cannot exceed 868 litres per minute into that beck, because they've got all those developments on their radar, or should have. They'll know we can. We can't increase that flow into Lauker. We would not risk further downstream flooding. We wouldn't risk erosion. The sewage plants down there, all that's going to be taken care of. You know. The thing is, those are developments we know about now.
The beck doesn't go into the sewage plant, but the beck, the discharge rates and calculations have been proved to be flawed already, but they're refusing to accept it. A 1 in 100 year event doesn't exist anymore. It's more like 1 in every 20 years at the moment.
If you want to see cite my calculations, my Herod survey, it's on the website, so we can give you that, and you can take it away and get it evaluated. I'll say I'm going to come back again. Chastise me, tell me what you think next time you come back.
It will have an impact on your drainage systems going down there.
If you look at the drains there now, we're looking to put 2 900 pipes through the whole system. So that's about a 600 mil orifice at the moment. We're going to have 2 900s like this sort of size, right the way through the Parton Strait. You know?
Hasn't the 1 mile section got something to do with Parton falling away? Because that's collapsing.
The one where the school was, well, it's not been directly correlated. That was just an isolated slippage. But let's face it, we're on a hillside from the top of Moresby Park down to Parton, so there'll be some correlation somewhere, although it's not directly responsible at this stage.
What happened to the plans that was going to go from Izzy and come out at Lower Road? I didn't actually see the red line that was proposed, the route. And it came round from where our Judy Allen's was, right round behind Moresby. It came out at Lower Road.
Yeah.
And that was going to be for Sellafield traffic and everything.
That was part of the relief road solution, yes.
Yeah. So this bad planning that you had,
that's gone. That's gone. That's gone. I'm afraid. When the Moonside development fell over, with withdrawn, all that solution to solve all of this, and now on that, this is Plan B. This is me trying to keep that embankment in one place. If we lost that embankment tomorrow, we're all going to suffer. We're all going to suffer, and I have to do it reactively. You may remember when the A591 fell over in Storm Desmond, Grasmere to Keswick. Grasmere, the most affluent village in the whole of Cumbria, arguably. They suffered, it nearly went under. This will be the same solution for all of West Cumbria, Whitehaven, all the way down that coast. If we lost that embankment there, it's a pinch point from that network. I've got to fix it. I've got to get in and do it, you know.
Excuse me, what's the contingency plans what's the contingency plan if, when you're drilling these 2 tunnels, it all goes down?
We have monitors right throughout the embankment. So we've got a defection calculation of 5 millimetres. Right. So basically we have lasers on each various points of the whole thing, right across the embankment. It's a bit like when you drill next to Big Ben, you have monitors on the whole.
Yeah, but when you're doing the tunnels, when you're boring the tunnels, what happens if the road collapses while you're doing it?
We monitor as we go through. We cut at a very slow rate. It's a very slow rate, so what you do is you increase your lubrication to reduce your defection. So if you set off at 4 metres per day, you might have to come back to half a metre a day, or even less than that. Yeah. But we monitor each point through there. We've got a number of points set up, and there's alarms triggered into the machine itself, so we know how long we've got to, when we reach now our limitations here. We're going to slow the cutting down. Sorry, Sam, you were saying something earlier.
We've got a new building this year. We've lost it. What are you going to do if there's an emergency for the weekend? No, this one's closed. Are you going to get patients from West Cumbria to Carlisle?
Right, so when we first put this together, I was going to come on to the traffic management in the late stage. Could you wait till then? I'll give you an answer in a minute.
Can I just ask what you're beginning to drainage? It's nowhere linked to the changing of the water to the harbour side, is it? No, so they're not tracing that. Some of the rumours were caused by that, but it can't be the way the water runs, but they still haven't found the culprits, have they?
Where's your architect? Okay, I'll come back to your question in a second. Okay, so this is what the cascades look like. To the right picture of what attenuation pond will look like. A bit like a wetlands area. planting for ducks.
We've got one.
We've got one.
We've already got one.
Might have two. This is the sort of plan for how we get around about. Extending the Mersey now isn't going to solve all of it, but at the moment we've got 30 metres of 2 cars trying to get in there. Fastest car wins.
Yeah.
Aggravation, grief,
Yes,
assaults.
it's ridiculous.
Assaults, it might solve some of it, but it won't solve it all. While the road's closed and we're there doing it, let's make full use of that closure. This stretch here shows the part of the straight, so you can see the long mile there where the pink line is. That's going to be a large swale down from Caston's farm to capture all of that runoff, and again heads down towards where our cascades are. This picture actually shows the land we've purchased already. We now own this land. The green is temporary, pink's what we own. And again, that just shows a plan of what the swale. Swale's 15 metre wide. Imagine a dish where water captures and it's held in there, either percolate, evaporate, or end up in the drainage system. Timeline, we're a bit behind with works. We're due to finish the first phase by mid-March, tunneling done. We then build the outer shoulders of the embankment up to a metre below formation, ready for our closure date of the 12th of May. Friday the 12th of May, first closure goes in place. We had to delay it because of bank holidays and the coronation we held back because of that. 10 o'clock at night on a Friday, we start, open Monday morning, 3 o'clock, and then for 10 consecutive weekends, we will break for bank holiday to give everybody some respite, myself included, because I'll be falling out with them. All due to be completed before the summer holidays. So we've got quite a lot of work ahead of us. Circa number of curbs, drainage all along that street over those 10 weekends. Looking at about 250 men per weekend on site working through that time. Again, that's the balance. 10 weekends of closures, 12 months of traffic lights. Who wants traffic lights? Hands up. Who wants a closure? I'm never going to be right, am I? Never. So what happens if I close the road? So the modelling of the sensors we've had in place for some time show that there's 9,800 vehicles on a Saturday and 8,200 on a Sunday use that route. The main issue I'm looking at is the HGVs. I've got 500 HGVs. What we're doing with those at the moment, we're writing to those hauliers. We know who they are, who use the route, find out who they are, and we wrote to them, advise it's closed at weekends. Can you reschedule your deliveries? That's the first question. Get rid of those numbers down. Some won't be able to. Most supermarkets now, their storerooms have gone. The storerooms now on the road in the back of a wagon. That's where they store their materials. They don't have it on site, just in time deliveries. What does that look like graphically? I don't know if you can see this from back there, but the blue line or the yellow line above is the weekday traffic. 2 pigs for Sellafield. The weekday traffic is in blue. Weekend traffic is in blue. You'll notice about between 10 and 1 o'clock, there isn't much difference. That's people going shopping on a Saturday, etc. Diversion route. This will be what's called the main diversion route, unrestricted. The Cleater to Egremont to Cockermouth Road. That's the main route. It's the only A road I've got in the area. I haven't got any other A roads. Normally you should divert from a trunk road to a trunk road or a motorway to a motorway. This part of the road I've used the best road I can, that's it. What I've got to do on that route, believe it or not, is to remove all the parked cars on that route will be removed. So there will be parking restrictions from Egremont to Cockermouth. Every car will be taken off the route so I can maintain two-way traffic. Over the next few months, I have been there already. I'm going to visit Cleater, Rowra, Visington, and tell those people you can't park outside your house on a Saturday and Sunday. So there'll be a parking restriction in place. We've put alternative parking in place for all those people, but you can imagine they're not being very happy because they're looking at a scheme they'll never see. They won't benefit from this being fixed, but I'm asking them to move their cars for 10 weekends in a row. If you want it during the day, after 4 o'clock the drive dies down, but the fact is, during those periods, those people along on that route will be affected. But we know if you live in Whitehaven, when you travel south to Egremont to go north to Cockermouth to Workington, you won't do that. You'll try and find your way around some of these local routes. We know it's going to be an impact on everyone in this room. All local routes will be affected. What we've done with Cumbria County Council, we've sat down which routes we think most people will use. We picked a number of those out, and we're now trying to improve those routes. We've given Cumbria over £100,000 up front. We go and get the potholes fixed, clean your drains, get the patching done that sits there for years. The check's in their hand, go and fix the routes. You know, over to them, you know where it falls apart. I'm giving you the money to go and do it up front before we start to use it as a diversion route. What else do we do? So we're going to go and survey Cumbria's routes. There's no point in me fixing the trunk road at the expense of the local network. You know, so we'll go and do some surveys up front and afterwards. Any difference in the value, we'll give them the money to go and fix it when we're finished. As I said, pre-construction improvements, circa £100,000 into Cumbria now to go and fix those routes. During the closure itself, we'll have a response team from Cumbria. The guy who fixes potholes from Cumbria comes on your street once every 6 months, once every year, 2 years maybe.
If you look at it.
It's going to be available every weekend, fixing the potholes as they occur. If I have someone to get a puncture on a pothole on the diversion route, that's a blockage, that's another slowing people down, that's more frustration. We're going to fix them as they appear, and again, we'll do that as we go through. I'm going to have 3 mobile support from Cumbria Police, 3 mobile units who will look after people who are doing infringements on the parking routes, and our TM guys who get abused quite a bit because they'll be looking certain parts off, they get assaulted, they've had all sorts of them, razor blades, urine, everything gets thrown at these guys. So the police are there to help us enforce those diversions and those restrictions we're going to put in place. Additional transport services, we're going to put on a free train service between Workington and Whitehaven. So that'll be additional carriages and a train in between the two locations. There'll be free bus service running, and we'll also increase the capacity of the bus that will run already. So we'll keep the buses going, serving the hospital, which they do on Saturday. We'll make sure that service gets there. Hospital cars, they'll get through as well. Reactive planning. So what happens if Sellafield goes bang, as you mentioned earlier? We have plans in place, working in Sellafield, Cumbria, and how that would happen if it goes bang, what do we do with it? If I have an embankment with missing, how long does it take to fill it in reactively? We have a plan to put that back and get it back open should there be a major incident. It's more likely that we'll have an incident on the diversion route. Some motorcyclists on a Sunday morning will get killed on the road to Egmont.
35 minutes now.
Sorry, I'm trying to deal with the question.
Well, it could be a separate meeting, this. I don't know.
I'm sorry, you want to, I can postpone and come back if you like? Yeah. Sorry, bear with me, I'll do that. We'll put all sorts of plans in place. We're going to build those up as we go through. We've got to have that in place should things happen. You know. Stakeholders engagement, obviously we're engaged with Cumbria, and there'll be a dedicated public liaison officer who's going to look after these local communities. Rather than trying to do a contact centre, he'll make himself known in the next few weeks. I'll skip through the finance stuff because it terrifies me. We set off for £10 million, it's now £16 million. Inflation's killed us. The risks are there. I mean, I've had archaeologies in there, the weather, tunnelling, and other aspects that may happen. And I think that is me. Is that all right?
Yeah.
The key question is what's going to happen about.
Sorry.
The key question is what's going to happen about traffic coming through Moresby Park.
So Moresby Park's we know that the speed bumps are going to be an issue, right? Now we've had commentary back to us. You remove the speed bumps while the works are on. If I do that, how do I control the speed of the cars? So it'll be speed cameras put in place while the speed comes on the route, or we see what happens first. Now I can't force that decision on anybody. It's got to come from Cumbria County Council or Cumberland County Council as it is their road. The ultimate decision will be, and that's back to them now. What do you want us to do? We'll do whatever you want. You just tell us, we'll pay for it. Have a discussion. So I'll take that away and have that discussion with their
Can I make a suggestion?
So yes, yeah.
There's a road goes up by Sillybanks over the top, isn't there?
Yeah.
So if traffic comes in from Dislington or Piker towards Moresby Park,
yeah,
why can't you turn it up School Brow and cross the top road towards the big roundabout? Traffic coming from that end into the village, close the village off, other than to residents and access only from Steel Brown.
Right, yeah.
There's no need for the traffic to come along the main street. You can turn it across that top road from Dislington and from Whitehaven.
That has been looked at, but there's a few pinch points in there where they can't get a two-way flow.
What's the pinch point? Across the school is just a chicane. It's easily turned into a crossing.
One of those conversations we've had is to remove that chicane during the period of the closure.
That would be fairer on the residents of the village. Because it's a rat run Monday to Friday, so why should we take the traffic after Sunday when there is a main road?
Lots of times the kids are nearly being killed, even on that.
And the road is...
Sorry.
Well, they'll have to put some...
Let me take yours. Let me take your suggestion away. Because what I'm doing tonight is not me telling you, and we will take your ideas back. We'll come back next time and we'll work that idea.
Give the children a proper crossing, that would be beneficial for them going forward. From that would be a benefit out to them.
Everything's on the table. Everything's on the table. If you want to do it.
It's a better road at the top for the traffic, and it's less hassle for the residents.
Okay.
It's safer for the children if you give them a crossing, just like the lady says. It's no good. They just race through it.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Well, school brow's in a disgusting state to start with. There's more. They spent a week, 18 months ago, repairing that road, and it's in a worse condition. They left it in a worse condition than when it started. The potholes on as you're going up from the village up to the top of Schoolbrow, on the left-hand side, there's more potholes than enough in it. How people haven't lost tyres, I don't know. But it's just, there's no way that you could use that as a relief road without doing some serious repairs to it.
That's where we get the benefit of the £100,000.
I'll just come back to that. We've given Cumbria the money up front to fix their network. It's not capped. No. If they say they need more, we'll do it. Because there's no point in saying, this is a major piece of work for West Cumbria. And the impact is if we lost it, that's where we generate the money from. We don't spend the sort of money over here. We don't get it. You know, so you're right, I've got issues to solve. Yeah, sorry.
Delayed tactic, innit?
He's making him happy. He's happy. He's happy sitting there.
He's the only one that's happy.
This should be a separate meeting. It's a parish council meeting.
I think lots of people have got questions. I know I've got a lot, and I don't want to say them because I know people are eager to move on. But I think you should make a separate thing.
It should be a separate meeting. You've just disrupted this meeting.
But another time, eh?
Yeah. Can I come back here and arrange a specific meeting for questions for this? Is that okay?
A separate meeting.
Yeah.
It should have been from the start.
I'm available in Parliament, Village Hall. I'm there every Friday, 10 till 12. If you've got time to come off, I'm there. I don't want you. If you want to come and see us, I'm not going to hide from this, that's where I am.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you.
Three quarters of an hour it took.
He's trying to delay
He's just using you as a delaying tactic. You're being acting as a human shield for him. That's all you are. That's all you're doing for. He's not interested in what you're saying.
I've never been called a human shield before.
That's what he had. That's what you've acted as for him for 3/4 of an hour.
Oh, you're available all night.
So the next thing is, are there any matters on the agenda?
I'll just go on
He's tried all sorts of different tactics. You're the only one that
I'm waving it again.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's all.
Okay, the next one is approving the document. To approve and adopt required policies, standing orders and the financial regulations. Now, we've recently changed the standing orders, but this one is, as far as I can see, it's just a different form of words for the same thing. Does anybody have any objections to that?
Yeah.
Does anybody have any objections?
Where are we at? That's they are. Where are we actually at?
23, to approve and adopt policies, standing orders and financial regulations.
And just the general ones that the parish council said would be
Anybody got any objections?
Sorry. It's again, sorry, because we've getting where we stuck. I've got to have a go and it's noise on this side, noise that side, noise from the next.
It was, the thing was number 23, to approve and adopt the required policies. So the ED is a mistake, which are the standing orders and financial regulations which have been sent out.
On the fine mark, it's what everybody has to do.
Yeah, well, I consider no issue at all. So, are you happy with it?
You're in Parton Hall tomorrow morning.
You happy? Yeah.
Yeah.
10 o'clock. Yeah. Who's happy? Sorry, public participation. Does anybody have any?
Can I ask for a couple of items to be minuted? That's the class communities, 2 items.
Sorry.
Can I ask for it to be minuted that the residents have consistently complained about the minutes? They've been deliberately sparse, deliberately ambiguous, and as proved tonight in the November minutes, were deliberate fabrication. What makes it worse is that the previous clerk was aided and abetted by the chairman. I'd like that minuted, please. I would also like to ask for it to be put to bed and never mentioned at the Moresby Parish Council meeting again that the full council were ever consulted or gave permission for the illegal pond. This was impossible because the only available information has been deliberately withheld by the 4 implicated people for 1 year. This information was only released last week.
There are factual errors.
Discuss. Factual. What's the factual errors? Factual errors. Name them.
Well, it was discussed.
How could they discuss anything without the facts? You sat with the facts. We asked you at every meeting for 6 months for that plan. You would not.
Consistently said, the authorities have consistently said they have permission of the parish council to dig that pond, right?
They may have said that, but I don't believe they did have permission to dig the pond.
So who gave them permission? They said you give them.
You give them permission. That's what they said.
Because the parish council certainly didn't. So who's given them
It's
permission?
impossible for parish councils to make a decision without the information. You kept the information in your house.
No, I didn't.
You didn't. Well, the clerk did.
There was a discussion at early parish council meetings in February, March, where the Thornleys discussed putting some drainage in to
In where?
their plots.
Where?
When was this?
In there. That was in their plot.
In their plot.
In their plot.
In their plot.
You're sitting telling lies again.
Yes,
February actually. February meeting.
Yeah.
In their plots.
You are a liar because you tell lies.
Mr. Chairman.
yeah. Look, can I answer the question? Can I answer the question, please? Because you seem to be getting confused about things. In February and March.
Oh, what the other one where you can't rewrite history? Give us that one.
And then in April, they went mad with a digger and they dug a pond. Okay? And so when
Under your
it was
instructions.
we said
Under your
this needs to be
instructions.
discussed at the parish council meeting, which was discussed in May. And they were told at the parish council meeting in May that they should carry on the works.
Oh, bye.
That's what I'm talking about. Ambiguous minutes. Ambiguous minutes.
And then
The actual truth. Bob, you've got.
it was a parish council decision.
It was not.
No, it wasn't. It was witnessed by 18 residents that the motion was to fill the pond in.
Before the school.
Not carry on work. There's a man sitting there that tells you a person.
That was in the June meeting.
When they were told to continue work in May,
You're arguing.
on the 28th of May, Saturday, they fetched the excavator on, and they battered the sides of the pond, and they tamped it down on top of the pond, and that's what's caused the flooding to the rugby pitch. That's all they've done.
That's what they
And there was
understood.
a
Right?
permission.
Item 9, in the meeting on the 9th of May 2022, item 9, proposal to allow 2 current allotment tenants to rent 3 further unused allotments. Mr. Thornley said that he had worked to drain the area behind the present row of allotments, and he and Mr. Ian Thornley wished to rent these 3 plots, which were marked on the plan as unusable bad drainage. He hoped to obtain a grant from Jeffrey, but needed to show he was a tenant.
He said he understood that concerns have been expressed about the safety and he has spoken to the chairman on this issue. Given that Mr. Troughton was not present, it was agreed to defer the matter. The council agreed to Mr. Thornley's request that he continue to work at the site. This is deliberately ambiguously.
Right. Now, what
Deliberately ambiguous.
Well, I mean, what was stated by the parish council was you have permission to fill in the pond only to make the pond safe before the kids break up for school holidays, which was around 6 weeks away. This was witnessed by 18 parishioners. Also, the chair states in June, Whitehaven News, the drainage work was carried out without permission.
That is in the Whitehaven News. That is in the Whitehaven News.
It's in black and white.
And that's only one thing that you've done, mine. I've got two more here.
You're a disgrace.
You're now got tape recordings. Excuse me, your own word in the June meeting, drainage works was proposed, but it would extend it without permission. You said that.
Yeah, I did, yeah. And
Well,
I'm just repeating that now. Yeah.
Why do you protect them then?
When was it proposed?
Pardon?
When was it proposed?
You've already read out when they were proposed, which is in February and March meeting.
No, they weren't. They didn't have the allotments then, you clowns.
He said in the minutes, Carl Thornley explained what he was doing on his own watch.
And why?
And why. No mention of any proposition, no mention of any vote being taken.
So if you're the
And that's in the minutes that you signed.
So if you're the chairman, right, and you did say then, and we've got it recorded, you said then that they didn't have permission to do it. Why have you never done anything to them? Why have you never took them up on it? Why have you been going around in circles for 6 to 8 months?
No fence.
Why have you never fenced
No
it up?
safety
What
fence.
they done was they put fences up, they dug the pond 3 times bigger. I mean, to be honest with you, in a little bit, the person sitting beside you...
Councillor Casson.
They agreed, this is not carry out the works, which is what you were talking about.
Councillor Casson.
Liar. You're a liar.
Councillor Casson.
Not to come straight,
Councillor Casson. That exempts a secure safety fence for them kids. 100 metres from a play park. That's your security fence. 2 ropes of that. You're a disgrace. You're an absolute disgrace.
Exactly. Why are you sitting there?
2 bits of rope for to protect kids' lives.
Why are you sitting there?
Potential drowning. 8 foot deep.
Why are you sitting there?
One person at a time, please. And this is for public participation. It's not for
I agree with you, I do apologise.
Mr. Chairman, we're going over the same ground again. Once again, you've done a great job, 10 out of 10 for that instruction. The thing about it is you're blind, you're manipulated,
Deceived.
You're not fit for purpose.
Yep.
I'm sorry for that.
I'm sorry.
You shouldn't be there.
But it's up to you to get rid of it.
But this parish council is completely dysfunctional because of you.
All the public can't be wrong.
I'll ask a question. You had that plan dated, well, so-called plan, dated from March, was it?
22nd of March. I think.
Why was it never put forward as a proposal to be done?
Why did you refuse to bring to meetings? I've asked you about 27 blooming times to bring the plan.
Mr. Chairman, if you'd have presented that plan in front of the parish councillors, it would have been laughed out of the room as the most stupidest idea ever to be proposed.
The thing is, a presenting plan wouldn't have made a blind bit of difference because it had to go to planning.
Yeah.
Why did you not present that plan to the parish councillors?
Because it wasn't my plan. It was the Thornley's plan.
You had it. You're the chairman. You had the plan.
You were saying you got them to approve that at the meeting, but you had the plan with you and you didn't present it.
So that plan shouldn't have went to planning.
Why don't you just walk out of the room now?
No, because we need him here because he's guilty. He's guilty. You need him
So why
still
was
here.
that plan issued at the planning?
The more he digs, the more he can get out.
It wasn't thought necessary at the time, but planning permission was required because
Wasn't
it's
that
specified.
It's an 8 foot deep pond.
So you made that decision.
Who made that decision?
This must be the only parish council in England that's broken planning law and common law on their own land.
Who made the decision to say that was agricultural land? Because it was brought up by several people. I can't remember exactly who said it, but it was during...
We can't remember.
Well, it must have been the thought.
We can't remember.
It would have been better to check out if people were doing it.
Council can't remember that.
plans was never mentioned in here. Surely they should have been in the meeting, proposed the plans and let us see what was going to be happen. And then there should be a vote where they say yes or no. Well, that didn't happen.
Surely to God,
I've got to say, when they said they were going to do a bit of drainage on their allotments that they paid £20 a year for, I thought they were going to put a bit of hardcore in that in, you know, and they could do a bit of drainage. Not dig bloody great holes, but
That's why I said,
On land that wasn't theirs.
Hold on a minute. Here, wait a minute. If you're saying
you were there.
Here, just a sec. You had the plan, right? You had the plan off them on the 31st of March, which shows the pond. So how can you say now that they've done it without extending, without permission, or whatever you're saying now? You had that plan. You knew what they were going to do.
Nobody else said it.
Just you.
You and the
No
clerk.
parish council saw it.
Nobody
You.
else seen it. Only you and the clerk.
And the phone is when you had a crack on the allotment.
Here's someone else that used to do that. And this isn't the way they've been used at all. Nick Troughton, the chairman of Moresby Parish Council. Nick Troughton, sorry. Chairman of Moresby Parish Council said the work had been proposed. But proposed by who? That's what I'd like to know. But then it being extended without permission. So you're seeing there that they didn't have permission.
Yeah, I said.
And you've said the council had stepped in because
Well, it wasn't proposed to the council.
I know what the argument's about here.
The argument's about 15,000 quid, pal.
We all agree that it was extended without permission.
Yeah.
And then
without
permission, and it was extended with permission. On the May meeting.
If that's the case, Mr. Troughton,
The main same people heard, right? And it's the next bit of evidence that I'm going to give, right? You sitting here, that you gave them permission and you've denied it ever since. You sitting here, you exactly said that. And there's another thing you've slipped up on, what you've missed out on as well. About 2 months ago, you've slipped up on someone else that I've got you on as well. But at the end of the day, Nick, why don't you just come clean and let us get all this sorted out properly? Because at the end of the day, just a little bit there, you were at the thornies a little bit there, really, what you said. And I bet they had a little bit of you, sort of said to me quite a few times. But at the end of the day, you gave them permission, mate. You gave them permission.
It's just like a big cow on the line.
I've asked, is there any more discussions about any more things to be raised by the public?
What I'd like to say, when you don't like what's going on, you want to stick to certain rules. Because you chop and change your mind. I was here at one of the first meetings I came to and was surprised when you and Shaw allowed Thornleys to vote on something.
Yeah.
They had a
Yes, we saw that. We saw that.
And that isn't acceptable. But now you want to say to
Yeah, you want to shut everybody else down. That's in the talk. Nick.
So you're making your mind up. What's your rules? What's your code?
This
You
isn't.
need to stick to your code of conduct.
Nothing's getting done on this village because you're sitting there.
This is no
There's
longer
nothing
a parish
happened on the
council
village in a
meeting.
year.
I've noticed that.
This is no longer a parish council meeting. It hasn't been a parish council meeting for about, well, for 4 years I've been, to be honest with you. But for at least 8 months. And the reason it hasn't been is we can't move on. We're doing nothing for the village. All you're doing is just trying to
It's buying time.
And I don't know how you can. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you get the face.
It's buying time with that presentation tonight.
Resolve this issue with this.
This is going to get resolved.
What have you done?
This is going to get resolved. Don't worry about that.
This is public person, isn't it? No.
Not the
And
plan.
you're
I got kids.
You're costing this parish thousands of pounds by your stupidity.
Well, that's that big. You know what I mean, man? You're not bothered at all. You just wouldn't fence it off. You wouldn't do anything about it. You wouldn't fence it off. You wouldn't drain it off. People of the public have had to do it.
Mark, you've got people 70-year-old working on that pond. People 70-year-old trying to put their work right. People
That
70-year-old.
lazy man sits in manager's house, just sitting there,
And what
doing nothing.
And what were the Thornleys doing? Putting extra
Put
fences and
extra
watching them.
fences round the land that isn't even theirs.
Putting extra fences up.
Anybody got any other points to make? Any points to make which are new?
Which one of the Thornleys was not on the parish council? Our pond was built.
Ian.
Prosecuted.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Prosecuted.
But also, Also, they got.
Well, you've got Mrs. Thorne.
Also, they were given permission to do the allotments. They didn't have permission. They didn't have a tenancy agreement. They didn't have anything when they were under the allotments and took that land. Now, if we done it, what would happen then? That's all I'm going to say to you. Yeah. Young Ricky there on the corner there had a strip of ground a metre long from about here to Bex, about that long, and they went on about it for ages and ages. Alan went to their house. Mincho went to their house. Chris went to their house, and I actually went to try and smooth it over with him and say, look, could you just sort it out? I've got a strip that big, so like what you were saying before, when there's one rule for one and one rule for the other, there wasn't a great rule for Ricky, was there? For a little bit of ground like that. Look, that was the size of a football pitch. And then you wonder why we're all here.
That pond was dug on land.
He's not listening to you.
The Thornleys didn't.
You ignorant man, put your phone down while people are talking to you.
Because
excuse me,
I hope that's a resignation letter you write.
Put your phone down.
What a disgrace.
What on earth are you sitting there for?
Permission to go on parish council land that they had nothing to do with because they didn't even rent.
Oh, they don't have to, they just backfit the paperwork later.
That's it. Well said,
I
Tom.
asked them personally and I said, are you actually renting the 3 allotments? And they said, no, but we're willing to do it. That's when I fetched the environmental health in to check, and he was appalled what he saw. And it was supposed to be med safe. But they had dug that pond, and on your land,
Our land.
Our land.
Parish land.
Village land, yeah.
but they hadn't even been renting their allotments. So who gave them permission to start?
Well, he should know he's a next door neighbour.
I've already said that as far as I know, nobody gave them permission to start, but then they were allowed, given permission.
Well, why weren't they prosecuted then as soon as they started?
That's right, they were given permission to continue.
By who?
Continue by the parish council.
No! What? You're talking blooming stuff. You're a liar.
How could that happen if that was in June?
Minute that. He's a liar. He's a proven liar. He's been proved more times than enough to be a liar.
I think I know what you're going to say now.
Obviously, you have a difference of opinion.
No, we don't. We all agree. It's you that has the difference.
So what you're asking the question is exactly right. And no, they didn't have permission. But they were given permission in the main meeting.
By who? By you!
By you? Please tell us who.
It was already done. It was dug on the 26th of April.
Permission in the main meeting.
No, you've already done
Get them photos out, David.
Yeah, you're right there. The lease wasn't signed until July 22.
You mixed the words on the
Which lease was that? For the lot.
For me, they were out there. You said out there to us. On that film, you sent an email which we've got and said that I had said that it's alright for them to carry on on that pond with the spec of work. It was never agreed. Nothing was agreed. I walked away telling you that it was a waste of time. And you agreed, and you put my name in that again. And now you're putting everybody else's name in. And I don't find it very funny, personally. And Bex, can I just ask this? I think Kevin was going to ask this. I know you're the chair of the meeting, right? And you're the person there to advise. I don't know myself personally why you're involved in this personally. Like, you're too good for this, in my opinion. But to be honest with you, you're there to advise. Right? Are you listening to what he's saying? He's actually blatantly blaming people and everybody else. We're all liars. And the only person who is incorrect is himself. That's why we're here. That's why we're passionate about what's happening.
Just to clarify the question about my role. Yes, I am here to advise. I'm here to keep the council legally and financially compliant, which I am trying my best to do. In terms of providing advice on things that happened historically that I wasn't present for, I can't make any comments because I wasn't present. So I can tell you what the council can legally do now going forward. And I can answer legal questions, or if I can't answer them, then I will seek further advice and provide those answers. But I can't comment on retrospective or historical.
Can I ask you a question? Sorry. So, if you're going to advise on legal, if they dug that pond without permission, as stated, is that right?
And they didn't have.
They didn't even have a lease.
Can they not be prosecuted for that? By the parish
Our land
itself?
So I'm here to keep the parish council
That's
legally
legal.
compliant.
That's
So that is,
legal.
it is a legal question,
Yeah.
but it's wider than the remit of parish council governance. So I can seek advice on it, but I am not the appropriate authority. I'm not a practicing solicitor.
Are we still going to bill them for the work that's going to get them?
There's a agenda item related to that further down the
Because
agenda.
why should we all pay for their
Negligence.
Later on.
Sorry, because I know I shouldn't have been talking. Just one more thing.
Well done.
One more thing.
Who
Nick,
else?
Nick.
Shut up. Shut
We
up,
want
you
to hear what
clown.
he's got to say.
Let the lad talk.
So they say you can't prosecute a parish council. A parish council can't prosecute a parish councillor. But at the end of the day, when they got the land and started digging, there weren't parish councillors. And also on one occasion, Carl Thornley joined the parish council. So he was on the council. That was after he was in mine. He started still. He didn't join till a month or a couple of months after.
Yeah.
So technically, there weren't parish councillors anyways on both occasions. Now, Nicky's there being like that to me and trying to shut me up. But from another side, the reason that I'm here, I know I'm trying out that I've come on to try and be a parish councillor for Moresby or whatever. But from my side, looking out, the problem in this room is right there, and that is it. That's it. That's the problem. And that's
I'll second that.
All 7 of us are lying.
Well, we're not lying.
Or we're
That was like I've said to you the thing again today, which has just been read out, what was stated. We gave them permission to fill the pond in only to make it safe, or put fences round it as well. We did say from
Witnessed by 18 people.
In 6 weeks' time, before the kids finished school. All as they said they would do it, which they did. But instead, what they've done was they made the pond 4 times bigger. They put fences round, they put drainage in, and just totally discarded everything that we said. We came then back in and said to the chairman, well, what Nick's supposed to do, and basically this is where we're at 6 to 8 months on. It's exactly the same place.
And can I ask one question, Mr. Tom?
So just to answer Councillor Casson's question, if I may, because otherwise I'm likely to lose myself. In terms of the legal aspect of when people became councillors versus when they got the tenancy agreements versus when the work was done, all of that is information that, subject to the agenda point further down the agenda, is information that would be legally termed to be evidence, and that would need to be provided to whoever was retained to undertake the legal action. As I say, I'm here to keep the council legal and financially compliant in terms of community and local governance. So, I'm not a practicing solicitor.
But you were a solicitor.
My degree is in law, but I haven't practiced in 15 years.
I've looked this up in law because my relation's a solicitor, and I've had a bit of advice as well. So it says on there, which Nick is right, but it's saying on paper, it does say on there that we gave permission, which we didn't. But on that particular night, most of these people also, I know it's a legal document, but most of these people also were in that room.
Heard what we
And heard exactly what we heard.
It's only Nick heard different.
Now, if I can prove that, and I can prove that Nick said that he gave them permission, would that change things?
Are you asking about changing the minutes?
Well, I asked it to be on the dictator to be on, and I've never put it on without asking. But if I could prove that, would that change anything? Because Nick definitely said in front quite a lot of, I bet 3/4 of these people in here that he definitely said he gave them permission, but he didn't give them permission to do the scope of work they did.
So, with relation to a question about changing previously signed minutes, for members of the public, because I've had a number of email dialogues with the councillors, the rule of law is that once a set of minutes are signed, they are a legal record. However, there is a section in a 1972 piece of legislation that says that minutes could be altered for minor inaccuracies. I have submitted a request to Roger Taylor.
I've read the email today. So.
Yeah, I'm just so that everyone in the room can hear me saying it, because obviously I'm aware that not everyone's had the email. So Roger Taylor is the god, I suppose, of parish council governance. He's the person that's written and managed all the laws. He runs a practice that specialises in local governance, and I have submitted a request to him free of charge. There's no cost for council. I haven't incurred any expenditure. There is a service level agreement in place that I can utilise for that purpose, specifically asking him for definitive legal advice on if there are any circumstances in which a signed minute can be changed, and if so, what those circumstances are and what the procedure is. I can't give you that advice now because it's not a situation I've ever been through. It's quite, for me, it is quite unprecedented.
The whole thing's unprecedented.
Rex, could I ask you a question? Can I ask you what this one question? You said inaccuracies. What about if the minutes are deliberately ambiguous?
That's a different question. I can pose that to the,
Because
to the legal advisor.
he's relying on the ambiguity of the minutes where they said carried on work. Everybody took that as something else. He's relying on ambiguity to protect himself. That man sits inside
So
you.
in
the minutes it says carry on working. Everybody else in the room said that fill the pond in before the school holidays. And nobody, when the minutes were passed, realised the significance of that statement.
So
and now he hides behind it.
The June meeting, of course.
After the pond was already done.
The minutes of the May meeting.
It was a May meeting.
The pond was dug on the 26th of April. That man has photographs of the pond fully done on the 26th of April. You can see the pond out of your gable end window.
Mark,
You're a next door neighbour.
just as a general, did Chris Shaw or Nick ever make you councillors aware that the minutes were legal documents?
Three of them if was away. I'd have to say no that it was. I'd have to be honest from my
Again, keeping things deliberately ambiguous.
This is an advisor with Cal. Surely he had a duty along with me.
Yeah, to advisors. Yeah. Well, I did ask.
They've run a secret society. Throat and shore.
Some emails that I've got and some stuff that I've got in my phone on my computer right now. I've got to take a bit of finding. I've got emails that I've sent to cover myself to Chris, asking Chris for his help. I knew he wouldn't help me, but I asked him for his help. He was possibly could help us about and named things about.
That's part of your defence or argument being able to get the minutes.
Right.
Because Chris is on Cal, isn't it?
What?
And people can go to him with their questions, but yet he's not advising his own.
But it's like an email that I got back.
He was never really on our side, was he? So he didn't want
It's like an email I got back the last.
On you, not being horrible, it's preying on you.
Yeah, that's right.
He wasn't helping us. His job was supposed to help us as well. It was my counsellors. But I've got an email that I've got back as well in here. I think Beck said, if I'm not mistaken, and he'd actually said, but I couldn't probably find it right now, but it does say it that if the chair decides that if the minutes were incorrect, the chair can have a say in that. But only that, I'm going to have to find it. Nick actually says that he thought that the minutes were alright. That's just on one, but I mean, beforehand, what I'm saying, I'm not blaming Bex for anything on that. But beforehand, I asked that same question to Chris, and Chris just didn't get back to me.
Bex,
I think we've had enough participation.
We've had an hour on the A595 part.
It is new. Cal, it's relevant to the thing. Cal, do not acknowledge Chris Shaw. It's a problem because under the freedom I've asked under the Freedom of Information Act relating to Chris Shaw and his employment with Cal. They have denied, they have said nothing to do with us, it's to do with Moresby. I sent her an email tonight saying, look, I can understand what you're saying about Chris Shaw not being employed by Cal, he's employed by Moresby. But for every person in here, they take 8 pence off you for them to operate. And in last year's accounts, they had, in a couple of building society, £232,146. Right? And when I spoke to Sonia Hutchison, she put the bloody phone down with when I mentioned about Chris Shaw. All I was asking for her was to say whether Chris Shaw was still a member of Cal. Up until a fortnight ago, he was still on the list of advisors for Cal. And she said in an email, he's employed by Cal. And yet under the Freedom of Information Act, 2022, if you request information regarding an employee or an organisation, they have to supply with the information relevant to. If they're not going to supply with the information, they have to, by law, indicate which sections of that particular law they are going to be standing up by. Subsequently, I've heard nothing. So you've got an organisation that he relied on for legal advice, who doesn't want to know about the parish council, but is prepared to take public money to operate. Now, how the hell does it work? What I want to say is that this Shaw, you're paying him severance pay at £800.
And we're paying Bex.
You should not be paying Chris Shaw because of his incompetence. I sat in this meeting, and I mentioned it before about the dogs running on the field, and I said to Chris Shaw, how are you going to put that down? He said, I'll have great difficulty. Following week, following month, nothing mentioned. Subsequently, there's a lot of people in here will agree with me, whatever's been said has never been put down properly. The only time I've ever seen comprehensive note is from Bex. And she's struggling with a legacy of basic incompetence.
Gordon, he in effect employed Shaw, right? He was supervising. Bex is now spending £2,000 of our money writing stuff that Shaw's already been paid for.
Yeah.
£2,000. We're now paying for 2 clerks at this present time, and we're paying £2,000 because of your incompetence.
Yeah.
Right? I would also ask Bex, can you please add in the questions to Mr. Taylor, what actions can be taken if it's found out that a parish clerk and the chairman deliberately fabricate minutes? Because the November minutes were deliberately fabricated, and he said he'd consulted you before he wrote the minutes.
We want to know from Cal what their responsibilities are. Because hiding behind personal information, I didn't ask for personal information. All I asked for was, does he work for you or not? And what systems have you in place to monitor him?
Should you look off the 2,000 quid?
He's been with them since the last report was 2017. He was on the town website. 2017. And we're now in 2023, and we've still got gross incompetence.
Why are you paying him severance money when
You shouldn't be paying him severance
It was actually twisted, but we offered it was twisted. It was never supposed to be what it was. It was supposed to resign. It was to, basically it was to open the door for a new clerk. That was the idea.
It's been proven because he hasn't done it.
You're correct.
He's run the parish council basically. It isn't just Nick was decided with Chris Shaw run the parish council. All I've seen for the time I've been here for a number of years, he's the man who's run the parish council, not the chairman.
Correct. You could run a bath to
I don't know why he's there.
Okay.
And you've let him run the show, and he's just comforted by legalities and everything. And he's an ignorant man. He hasn't let people speak. He hasn't took notice of some of you guys. And he's just run the show, and now you're paying him money for his incompetence.
And his lies. And his lies. And your lies.
The initial what it was supposed to be was twisted.
I just think, I've been coming to this for a long time now. It's been argued today. And we need to go to another level of legal advice. Really.
Yeah, that's right. So we want to move on. That's why I'm trying to move on.
Well, let's move it on. Nothing happens. Nothing happens from month to month to month. We're still got a pond that children can drown in. Yeah.
Nothing will happen while he's sitting there.
We need to move on.
Exactly. So we need to stop.
Stop this. There was somebody else sitting there who would actually would have done something about it. It would have been a total different. It would have been sorted, and we also had other parish members that weren't on our side as well. It would have been sorted a long time ago. If we ended up getting fined, for example, say it went down that we were liable for this. The other parish members who are sitting at home now, they would get fined as well, mind, because that is against them as well. They're the people that protected Hazel, and that's why Janice went. That's why Janice left.
Can I just put on record, please, Bex, in the minute this, the parish's thanks to Councillor Mark Casson for all his hard work. Over the last 2 months, especially this last month, he's been hitting up off night shift. He's been sorting out the contractors and the quotes, been running about. You've got the pump, been pumping it out. been sorted out a problem entirely created by two parish councillors, the chairman and the ex-clerk, and I think he deserves a bit of credit for what he's done.
Will you second that, Mr. Troughton? No.
Do you want?
No, thanks.
Have there been other not disputing? Shall I put in and volunteers? I just
I've actually got it written down here for the end of the meeting to say thanks to Mark and the other parishioners, elderly parishioners, who have been waist high in water and mud. I've actually pumping the pond out every time it gets full.
Could we raise some other matters on while your public participation, other than the pond, is what, right? I've got two questions, two facts. You're going to have, if you think that pond's caused lots of trouble, you're going to have a massive attenuation pond at the end of there, which they said at the planning meeting, we were there, that it won't, the children won't, the council, some of the planning committee asked about the children's safety and everything, and they were reassured by the developer that it won't matter because my lad's picking a water line on there and he'll keep an eye on it. That was his safety measures for looking after it. If you think that pond's going to cause trouble, you're going to have a massive one to walk along. That we just let the railroad, because the parish has objected to the planning permission.
Just for the minutes, because I'm new to the council, which development is this relating to?
This is the school ground development.
School ground development.
Bonnie something
has objected to it, but what we find out is the parish has no clout whatsoever with Copeland Council. They take no notice of this. They took no notice of the objections. You objected several times to the development, which they took no notice of. You're making a lot of fuss and rightly fuss about this pond, but wait till the great big pond gets built. The children are going to go and play in that one, and there will be problems, but it doesn't matter. They said the safety issue is the lad in the corner that's going to get the house, he's going to keep an eye on it, so that was the rectification of the planning committee, and they accepted that and give it on the planning.
Well, it's the same as the two bits of rope around big ponds.
So the parish councillors took no clout, they've never listened to them. You get no respect from Copeland Council either. And that's what I've seen all the time. I go to the planning commission council meetings and all about this Moresby and the developments, and they took no notice of you. You've stressed that the parish council wasn't happy. Leading on from that, you've got the first stage of the development going to start, the first proposal of the house going up.
Number 4.
It's number 4. Yeah, it's on the agenda. That's what I'm raising about. It's on the agenda. Now, during that planning council meeting that they gave permission for, they were told that there was pictures showing 3-storey houses on there, but the developer denied it and said there was only 2 stories because an attic isn't the 3rd story. Just the first house alone is going to be 3 stories high on there. So they're pulling the blinds on you again. The planning officer, the award-winning planning officer that they talked about in Copeland, is letting the planners ride roughshod over. Not only this, they will ride roughshod over this development. They've already rode roughshod over the Swift Homes development down the road, which it's in the parish of Moresby, I believe now, because it's been talked about in the minutes. The roads aren't wide enough. They haven't got adequate street lighting already, and that's a development that's been approved by our so-called senior planning officer, or award-winning one. So you can't trust them lot to do things right, and they're not taking any notice of this. So what can the parish council do to make an objection stronger to the new Cumberland Council and say, look, you've rode roughshod our concerns. We've already got massive flooding issues and drainage problems in Moresby. That pond gives an example itself there. The money it's costing, it's going to cause even more problems in the future. We're just railroading into big trouble. And the second point, that's
for clarity on the Swift Homes thing. The parish has about 3 houses at the far end of it. So most of it is not within the parish. So the first part of the development we weren't consulting on at all.
Well, the parish originally objected to it because they were increasing the boundary. It wasn't within the boundary of Moresby. That the boundary on the sandstone walls in the school, that's the boundary. And then you allowed them to increase the boundary. The parish didn't want them to, but that development's making a new boundary within Moresby.
I'm not talking about the one which they now call Bonnie Meadows. I'm talking about the one at the far end of the
We're on about Bonnie Meadows, and they're both tied up together. The application still
but the far one mostly is outside the parish. So it's only about a few houses.
It's all in the parish.
The one here, the one at Bonnie Farm, the one they now call Bonnie Meadows on the school ground.
Yes.
That is totally within the parish. the other planning permission that you brought in about Swift Home is
Well, Swift also, yeah.
Is
but I want about on our doorstep now.
beyond our thing.
Yeah, so that just, I'll just give you an example of Swift Home. That's managed by the planning officer, and he's allowed that Swift Home development to go outside planning rules and regs. They can't even get the dustbins round there now. The roads aren't wide enough. So and now we've got adequate street lighting. So that's basic management of a project, and they can't even do that. So what they're going to do there with the self-development. The other question I want to ask is what just the schoolmaster used to come to this and say what's going on within the school.
Yeah.
Well, they've destroyed the playing field, they've destroyed the biodiversity behind that school, they've left an absolute muddy field with piles of rubbish and everything there. It is a desolate land now, all the wildlife and biodiversity has been destroyed. Now the parish council is just ignoring that. I've raised this before, and no one's pulling in the headmaster or the education authority to say, what the hell is going on with the school field there? Nature is being ransacked and raped round the back of the school. They haven't even got a playing area in the school children now. So what has gone on in that school? Nobody knows. The parish doesn't. Has anybody asked the headmaster to come in and explain himself? He used to come in and explain and ask for money from the parish council, but he won't explain what he's destroyed.
I fully agree with you there.
And they've also put a pile of trees in there, planted trees. They've got a mound there, and along that culvert that goes down to there, that's where the culvert is. So all those trees are going to grow into the culvert and just destroy the drainage, the natural drainage culvert down there. And no one's.
I don't think the parish council are supporting it at all. I don't think that's correct. I think there is certain people who aren't supporting it, but no. For the last 8 months, we've been tied up with all this. And before that, it was mentioned, because you've been in yourself, and I've always been on your side, and it went to the desk and never went any further.
You're not supporting
it, but we personally, from when I've been there, we've never been against it. We live here, we understand what you're saying completely. Especially the attenuating, the thing down there, I totally agree with you. The houses are more important than the
parish council wrote 2 letters of objection to the development.
You've got to remember that this was run by 2 people, but not by us until a few months ago.
You didn't want actually your school children run over by another 200 cars running down school road.
Yeah, so I've got a note here from Ross.
Unsafe for children, put the development down, the drainage is inadequate.
We didn't even know that drainage started. I didn't know.
I've got a note here from Ross Peacock. He says, we've been working.
That's another one.
He's the headmaster of the school. And he said, thank you for your interest in the school field. We have been working with Atkins Global to get the technical drawings done that are required by county to apply for the permissions we need to get everything moving again. We're hoping to recommence works around May in order to complete all the earth moving, etc. by the end of the summer. It'll then take the new grass a good few months to bed in. That's about where we are, but let me know if you need any further detail.
So why did they start until they got it in right?
Because the reason they started was because they've been in discussion with the Copeland Borough Council. And they were discussing with Copeland Borough Planning.
They didn't have adequate permission to start because they've never got adequate drainage and everything planned for. But they started and ransacked the field. The school children had no play area for over many years. They've destroyed all the biodiversity and nature that we're starting to realise that we need, and we need to appreciate and think. They're destroying it.
It's a bigger version than here, but I'll tell you the gospel truth. I'll tell you the gospel truth. Because I can remember that. When that field was dug, we came in here and we asked what was going on, and then the following meeting, or in between that, I could find it somewhere, following meeting somewhere like that, Chris Shaw got back to us and said that he'd forgot to tell us. But honestly, before I swear down, right, on my kid's life, before that was dug, I knew nothing about that until I seen them diggers on. But somebody knew. So when you're saying the parish council, I think a line of people, I think
it's back to the gruesome twosome.
I think it's back to, and that's what we've been trying to sort out, to be
The private old boys club.
The
private old boys club again.
We need to establish the fact here. We've got a problem here with this development.
I was just going to say, sorry.
Which is basically, let's put it this way, in couch terms, it's rather dubious because it reached the local plan. And I asked a fundamental question
under the Bonnie Meadows development.
Yeah, under the Freedom of Information Act, because they threatened me, the councillors, when we were Eric was there when I said to them, with the planning council, I went to the planning council and I said, basically, you've taken public money to do a plan and you've tore the plan up. We have taken legal advice and expert advice. And this was the chair. So I didn't attend the second meeting, but Eric was at the third meeting, and Eric was delivered with the same thing. One of the Fair Information Act, they never asked for advice. They didn't get the legal advice, and they never got expert advice. And yet, they proceeded to put on this village 80 houses plus, which will be.
The headmaster was objecting to because he said the school's already full.
Yeah.
What am I meant to do with all these kids?
Only this week.
Oh, then you agreed to it.
Only this week, on Rip Off Britain, Mrs. Young was presented again on the television saying about the flooding. And one of the comments was made during the conversation was, the drains are inadequate. Now we have been fostered on 80 houses on a system that is over 100 years old, which cannot cope now, and we're going to have 80 houses on.
I don't know which was the objection the parish council raised to the borough council.
Yeah,
but
it should be raised again.
You need to keep objecting.
Because what's happening there is, I don't know whether people realise this or not, your sewers don't go to Parton. They eventually get to Parton, but they don't go to Parton. They go down Moresby Main Street to a pumping station at Stalebrow, and then it's pumped back from Stalebrow up to Sillybanks and down the hill. And how do I know that? Because the bloody thing burst in the vale behind us, with plumes of shite all over the spot. And they dug a hole to repair it, and then with negotiations from one of the lads that lives on the village, we got Borg, who was the landowner, to sell us a bit of land, so we got 20 metres for them to put the sewer further into the field. Right? But that sewer is still in the field. And that is your sewer from this village, doesn't go to Parton, it goes back on my house.
It's not up to taking off.
And it's not up to taking the 80 houses.
No, they're doing some work in Young's yard now with drainage.
Yeah, well, that is a moat. So, if the eventuality arises, Mrs. Young's will be in a moated house. And opposite the other side of the road, where the supposed developer knows the village, the water's been standing round, stagnant water's been standing around for 3 months. And we've also had those houses that were on Bowling Green sandbagged and flooded. But we don't have any flooding. And once in 100 years, the guy from the F595 guy said, we've planned it for once in 100 years. We've had 3 floods in less than 20 years.
Once every 20 now,
or less. Here in this village, we've got a serious problem.
And that pavement from Moresby Main Street down to the school isn't safe for the children. And when those houses go up, it's going to be worse. So what's the parish council doing? Asking the council how children are going to be kept safe while the houses are built and after they're built. Because my granddaughter's been knocked off the bike. Just the cars can't come in anymore. But they know that what's the pavement now, they want to build a house.
Well, I think it's a bit disgusting that the parish council get disregarded. I mean, the Copelands encourage parish councils, this, that and the other. But then you top one of it, they disregard what the parish council say, and you guys have more idea what's going on in your parish than they do, but they're taking no notice of you. They profess to listen to parish councils and listen to them more and have your involvement with planning applications and where you think planning should be made, but they just totally disregard it. So surely some authority, parish council authority should say, look, you're not taking any notice of us. You either take notice of us and have us involved in your planning applications and help us decide where the best place for the village Yes, for developments, if you could have them, we're not saying don't have them, but you guys should have more choice of where they should be. They should be taking more notice here. It's just how you get that notice. Other than that, what is the point of having a parish council if you've got no input at all, no influence? I'm not disrespecting anybody. What is the point of having a parish council? You need to buy that one. It's a waste of public taxpayers' money, council taxpayers' money to have one. If you guys aren't allowed any say in any matters, which it seems to be, you've got no clout. Mr. Shaw said to me numerous times, we can't now do anything. We've got no say. We've got no influence on it. Well, what is the point of having a parish council? You can't do it.
We are trying to change that. We are trying to change
Yeah, but
that.
if that's Copeland's, it's not just if it's Copeland's opinion, all the parish council, they disregard me. What's the point?
Well, they also said the cars didn't park right up to the main road when the train was on the side. When schools get now, they do park right up to
It's
the
all
main
political
road.
lies in the planning
Because
application.
they did the traffic survey
At the
during
wrong time.
at the wrong
So
time.
have you objected?
And we did object.
Well,
And this was,
objected to that.
and it was objected to. It was brought up in the meetings that was the case, that they carefully done the traffic survey out of school hours.
But they ignored the parish council's objection.
Well, why do you
I asked for the place to come.
Look, I mean, you're rattling off things. I mean, on the school, on the existing 4 houses, the school ground, the parish council said when they wanted to put the road across, that there should be a drain at the bottom part of that. Okay, and you remember when the houses were put up, the path flooded dramatically, and it was a serious flood every time. We said, where's that drain? And the answer was that the borough council building controls people were approached during the bill and said, oh, it's a bit difficult to put in the drain because there's not enough drop to take it to the drain. So they said, oh, in that case, you don't have to put in the drain.
It's been proven that the take no notice of the parish council when you have
Well,
valid reasons and valid
that's common
objections.
sense, isn't it?
So they're taking no notice of you now and what's going to happen in the future. I don't like to think what's going to happen down there.
We don't, because the 2 buses a week that we have now, apparently they're stopping them.
Yeah.
So the parish council needs to say you need to revisit these houses because it's not, you said this didn't happen, i.e. the car parking survey done, and we don't have the bus service and everything else. You need to put the brakes on these houses and rethink.
I approached Stagecoach when they had the thing in mind, right? And I asked them to divert the coach around through Moresby, through some freedom of it, goes on to Red Running Estate. I asked them to divert it around Moresby. I said, the kids leave them school, if they get a job, there's no public transport to get them back and forth from the job. What have we got? Indefinite. 2 days a week, 2 days a week.
One bus, 2 days a week, and we're stopping it.
Yeah, they're stopping it.
Why? Ground? Why they said stopping it?
I've got time because highlighting those. The parish council's concerned. The parish council's concerned that you're not listening to. And at the highest level and say, look, we've got people that's willing to spend the time doing the parish council work, but you're not listening to, and Copeland need to start this. All the parishes need to get together and say, look, take notice, Copeland or Cumberland, but Copeland's going to be doing scope 3 again, but it's about time you listen to.
Thank you. I think we need to move on. Graham Mitchell has sent his apologies because he's on night shift, and he said that he sent a report through which says on highways, Cumbria County Council has been contacted regarding numerous potholes, missing bollards and damaged birdsides at highways in numerous locations. The lower section of Rose Hill where it joins the A595 is due to a resurface as part of the Backman upgrade, according to the presentation earlier. Highways expect to have gallows, logging repaired and serviceable in time for road closures, as this will be the route for emergency vehicles when A595 is closed. I will hopefully be able to attend the next Cumbria Copeland Area Highways Committee meeting when I find out anything else regarding these issues. If anyone has highways issues, please let me know and I'll raise them now. Exactly. Environmental waste collection days are unchanged across Moresby. Any missed bin pickups or issues with the new recycling bins, please contact Copeland Borough Council on their standard number. It has taken a while to roll out completely, but it should all be working smoothly. If anybody's got any concerns about that, contact Copeland. Planning, the major development on Harris Moor has gone to appeal. And an application has been received for warehouse buildings, car parks, etc., which is on the agenda for later on. And then he says, bad news, unfortunately the Moresby bus HBO4 will cease from the 29th of March. Omens cite rising operating costs, poor usage and shortage of drivers as the reasons. I've been in contact with Cumbria CCC who deal with this, and I'm also working with the Cumberland Shadow Authority to investigate where we go from here. Moresby, like many rural villages, needs a bus service. I know this council will join in my disappointment at this news.
We do need a bus service.
Yeah.
Can he not ask the stagecoach to incorporate it on another route?
Yep. Okay. We don't have a report from the county councillor. No change there.
With reference to the county councillor, I've emailed him and rang him on numerous occasions. I've even asked him if he's dead. And I've even asked the Conservative office to find out if he's alive or dead. And I'm assuming that he's possibly dead because he's not responding even to them. And we're paying for it.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is no ability to recall councillors like that.
Really?
Hey, just say about this, sorry, the highway scheme. I figure that the school ground and school road will become a rat run during that.
Well, it will be, but it's safer than going through the village.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah, but I mean, the roads
that's why I wanted to bring him along here to try and work out what's going on and what we can do about it. And the answer seems to be he's shrugging his shoulders. Yes, that's why we need to have it. Need to be raising it now. One of the issues is
we don't want to trade we don't want to trade
one of the issues is that the county council have told him told the highways people not to talk to anybody, not to talk to the new Cumberland councillors, even though that they will until the 1st of April. Okay, and so they won't discuss it with anybody. It would appear that the county council have put the money into a pot and kept it hidden for repairing the roads after the works have been done, rather than actually spending the 100,000 that he's talking about giving on bringing the roads up to standard beforehand.
That could be used to take the chicane out to school ground, give the children a proper safe crossing. Do you need reroutes? You can't come over the top road and give the children a proper crossing.
Well, that's why he's going to come back and do another meeting specifically for that, because we're not getting anywhere now. We've gone past public paths.
I will try and schedule that meeting for within the next 2 weeks or so, so that there's time to get answers to these questions.
Yeah, we need to.
So I'll try and get that organised, and then obviously I'll let everyone know the date. Yeah.
Okay. Correspondence.
Public participation.
Yeah.
Correspondence.
Okay, so there's a number of items of correspondence that I've listed on the agenda. The specific ones that I need responses to from the council are points 1, points 2 and points 8. So firstly, Copeland Borough Council have the maintenance agreement for the Parish Council green space and play area. They do the grass cutting, they do the play area inspections and that sort of thing. The quote for that for the forthcoming year is £1,022.10 plus VAT. Are we happy that Copeland continue to undertake that work on behalf of...
This field is there.
So it includes the play area there, it includes checking the play area, the inspections, grass cutting, it includes knotweed management.
That's not on the allotment.
That was on the allotments, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where's the area inspections on place?
Well, there's two.
On the invoices.
Yeah.
Two different ones.
Well, the play area is just like £5,600 spent on it last year.
That was for the new.
And also the grass cut. I had a deal with the rugby club, didn't I? With the grass cut. And I cut through out. That was £300 cheaper.
So it was for grass cutting of the playing field, treating Japanese knotweed on the boundary of the allotment site, monthly play area inspections and annual play area inspections. Those two are different things. There is the annual one is a statutory requirement and is a different form to the monthly ones. So as I say, the quote for that for the year starting on the 1st of April 2023 would be £1,022.10 plus VAT. So I just need to know whether you want to take that forward with Copeland or whether you're wanting to try and let the contract either separately or collectively, and if so, we'll have to advertise it.
I personally think we should have a bit of time and try and sort something out. See if we can get it cheaper with us.
I don't think it's a lot different actually from last year, is it?
It's not a significant difference, no, and they do have, Copeland are in the position of having the relevant qualified operatives, not just for the grass cutting and the knotweed, but also for the play area. The play area is the big liability.
I don't know, like normally
it's the play area.
If the play area you've got to out.
And not
it's just being done. It's just being done.
Yeah, but
it's in decent condition.
But it's got to be checked every month.
I'm sure someone. I just think personally we should maybe just ask a few people. I think that and just see.
Do you know anybody that inspects play areas?
Play areas itself, like. I don't even know if it's a qualification.
Yes, there is.
It's going to be signed off.
I'll be quiet.
It's an insurance requirement.
Yeah.
And it's also a safety requirement.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, it needs to be done properly.
Same as the pond, that's a safety requirement as well. It's just,
Yeah, well, we know that part, but we do need that.
Yeah. The other thing which is a small fraction.
So the grass cutting is approximately half.
He's useless as a chair, isn't he? He's useless as a chair.
It's ongoing contract, they're just asking whether we want to review it.
What's this going on?
Very convenient, very convenient.
Well, yeah.
Are you accepting or abstaining? You're accepting.
Tim Manley.
Thank you. The next thing, councillors may be able to shed more light on this, again, Copeland, but have contacted me. This is Alan Clements, who's the contract manager for Copeland. He has been approached by somebody, but I don't know who, with regards to additional works that somebody wants done in the parish, specifically relating to the verge along the road outside their depot, and then the path just before the bridge as you come into Moresby from the depot.
It's the road across there.
So what do they want to?
I don't. That's all I've got. It was that somebody stopped him in the street.
So it's the road. It's the checks in the road running across outside of the depot.
Well, we cut as far as checks, don't we? Steel ground.
Right.
we cut as far as there. That's our cut-off point, isn't it? But I don't know what they're asking. What are they asking?
That's all he's got. He said he was stopped in the street by somebody. He said the parish council wanted him to do some more work, and I said I can't authorise anything without putting it before.
Well, we want to do the side of the verge. It's been a problem for ages, but because the vegetation that comes through the Lawson side, and the parish council in the previous, Chris, was always saying that it should be Lawson to do it, but like it isn't actually Lawson's problem because he's the other side of the back. So it's a bit of a...
So to do with vegetation overgrowth.
Well, that's what I think it is, and it's been all over the world at the minute, isn't it?
Oh, right.
I don't know. I say that's all the information I've got.
So they need to specify what they're going to do, don't they?
They say a bit cleaner, don't they?
Because it's all overgrown with grass and there's all the brambles and that comes over. But the pathway from the main road up to the bridge is all cracked and subsiding. The fence is right over, it's going to go down into the bed. I've asked about that. There's big cracks right up the pavement, but it's all starting to move. But you can't hardly walk across that road now for all the overgrowth from the brambles and all kinds. You've cut it back, David. Yeah, my husband's put it back. So
is this something we're wanting to ask Copeland to do as a one-off, or do you want me to get a quote?
you want the path took back to where it should be.
The grass is encroaching across the pavement.
Okay, so if I get them to produce
You
a
need
quote,
somebody to go down with a spade or a shovel or a bucket of JCB,
Scrape it.
shovel it and scrape it back in.
so if I get them to produce a quote for consideration at the next meeting for the scraping back of that path and the reduction of vegetation, for want of a better word.
I'm not 100% sure that's what it's problem, that vegetation and all that. I've known some of the poppies, but I'm sure I'm looking for it.
Well, I think on the other side, where the brambles and that are, Lawson's put trees up now, hasn't he? On the other side of the beck. So,
he was signing it out, but it's not his job to do it.
The reason for that, Mark, is when they put the lampposts up, the county council put the lampposts inside the bloody fence. So the lampposts are off the road, if you know what I mean, they're inside the fence. And that's why Lawsons are saying it's not there properly. That should be county council that cleans that out.
Because they put the lampposts in there.
I would ask for some more information. Just to make
sure. The county council starts stopping it back at Copeland Council to say it's not county council land because it's stood on. The lampposts are not actually on the bloody highway.
No.
And that's how they get out of it. I went to county council about that, and I went to Copeland, and that's what I was told. The lampposts have been put inside the fence. It's all con-like.
It's normal.
Make some inquiries.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll make some inquiries and I'll bring it back to the March meeting. In terms of correspondence, there are then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items of correspondence there that I've listed on the agenda, which are described there. I can read them all out if you wish, but it will take some time. Alternatively, we just need to note that we've received them. Up to you. And then the one that I need to know an answer on is, does this parish council wish to nominate any ex-council chair, parish council chair, for possible selection to go to the Royal Garden Party this year, which will be King Charles's first garden party?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Dr. Face. If you would like to go.
What's chair?
Do you want it as Sister Charles Roy?
I think it's an excellent choice.
So, what was your name, sorry? Peterson. Just before I forget, I'm just going to... No, thank you.
What does it called?
Yes, it does.
I say it's only a nomination, so there is only a certain number of seats for Cumbria, so you may not be selected, but it's the council's opportunity to nominate somebody.
Yes.
So the question is whether you would accept the nomination, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'm a working surgeon.
Okay.
You have sandwiches?
Huh? I haven't, pal.
Should we send out for fish chips?
That was a flybowl, wasn't it? I know with Lado. Huh? It was obvious as should have been a separate. We're going to need a separate.
Top up and tail.
Okay, I'll note for the minutes that you were also nominated as well, so it is recorded. And then I'll nominate Alan. I'll be in touch with you tomorrow because I need to get all sorts of information from you. Thank you.
As already commented, there's been 2 planning applications. One is for
these complaints regarding the allotments, will these be acted upon in other discussions? Will they be taken into account in any decisions we make regarding the allotments?
They broadly all come into concerns raised regarding the pond situation, which is on the agenda further down. Right. So it's all to do with implications to do with the pond, flooding, access. So I'm noting them here, but
I think as we look to cause an annoyance and nuisance to allotment holders as well. It isn't just to do with the pond.
Oh no, it's not just the pond.
They actually cause an annoyance and a nuisance to the allotment holders. I think that is a gist of a few letters.
And behaviour of the tenants. I think you should read them out there.
Yeah. Okay, hang on. Let me find them. You got them handy, Mark, because you said you forwarded 2 of them on to me just whilst I find them. The complaints from the allotment holders, just you were the conduit. I was just asking if you had them handy, or can you find them faster than I can? I will look at my end as well. I thought I printed them out, and maybe I haven't, but I seem to have a lot of paperwork.
I think they're slightly important themselves.
Yeah, without names, please, for the purpose of data protection.
The complaints,
yeah?
I've been asked to put this on the agenda, on the February agenda by somebody else. I'm Mark, Moresby Councillor. Can you please register a complaint with Moresby Parish Council? Ian and Karen Thornley have been quite annoying to me as an allotment holder by doing the following. Blocking the loading from the allotments with wagons and trailers, and odd times there's a car. The access blocked at the north end of the loading was used as a turning point for cars. What he's meaning there is where the loading runs up to the top of that house. You used to be able to go in there because it was a path running around the allotments, and people used to go up there and turn their car and come back down instead of reversing out. Only was used to turning points for car. Now I have to reverse out of the loading. See, when I was at my garage, the Thorneys, Ian to be precise, and one of the 2 approached me.
I've found them. If you want me to take over, I've got my copies now. Do you want me to take over, Jill?
Yeah, I've got my own glasses on. See properly.
Saying, what are you doing up here? As if they owned the loading. Also, my mum, who's elderly, got quite annoyed that they knocked the sandstone wall down outside of their house as she lives up there, and said it was there when she was a kid.
That's one. Do you want me to take over because I found mine now? Can you please register a complaint with Moresby Parish Clerk? So it was sent to Mark. Ian and Kyle Thornley have caused great nuisance to me on Moresby allotments by blocking access to my allotment by flooding the access path with 18 inches of water. I am now unable to take my grandchildren to my allotment because of the 8-foot deep pond extremely close to my allotment gate. This pond was created by them in April 2022. Breaking the drainage pipe outside of my allotment and refusing to fix the pipe. Stopping me from taking my car to my allotment by flooding the path. Also, when I was up the allotment with the parish councillors, they said to me, can you help you? This is our land, what do you want on here? I replied, I'm just going to my allotment. I am appalled by what is going on. I just want to enjoy my time up there in peace. And the final one. Good evening, I am writing this email to lodge my complaints regarding the ongoing issues associated with the illegal drainage pond. Access to my allotment has been made almost impossible. Before this pond was created, the path to my allotment would have, during the winter months, about 2 inches of water on it. Now the water on the path is as high as my Wellington boots, making it impossible to use a wheelbarrow or cart to take things to the allotment. The flooding or standing water that now appears on my allotment is disheartening. Before the pond, the water had a natural runway, but now with the water table being raised, it has nowhere to drain to. I think it is disgraceful that two people have caused so much damage and disruption just to benefit themselves, with no consideration of fellow villagers and allotment owners. I know this matter has been discussed for many months at parish council meetings, but it needs resolved ASAP. I have not been able to use my allotment for the whole of the winter due to these man-made problems. And they are from 3 individual tenants, but under the General Data Protection Regulation, I don't have their consent to share their names with you, I'm afraid. So I know who they are, but I can't tell you who they are, sorry.
Perhaps evidence in case of any more conversations further down the line, yeah?
And if it was needed on the second one that was read out, I could add someone else to it that I've been told tonight. But if it's unnecessary at the moment, I won't bother.
Well, at council's request, I will put a copy of all of those in the minutes, minus the names again for GDPR, so it will be recorded in the minutes.
I say, perhaps I don't need to mention anything else. Just someone I found out tonight about it, but I'll say it if it's necessary.
So there are 2 planning applications. One is for land at German Lane Avenue, which is a warehouse building, associated car parking, service yard, landscaping, associated drainage infrastructure. Does anybody have any concerns about those?
Those are the documents relating to it, if anyone hasn't already seen them. Yes, there's various plans in there. There is an inside leg management, don't worry. That's just the information I need from you to nominate you. Ideally now, if not tomorrow. It's not actually inside leg, don't worry. They seem to ask almost every other question though. Yeah. Sorry. I was just doing that whilst we were discussing the planning application.
Yep. Does anybody else want to look at these documents?
But obviously we've all got to
No, I don't think so. It'd be good if something does fill it up really, won't it? I mean, that's what it's supposed to be used for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that kind of in general sort of no comment really? Or do you want to support, or do you want to support it?
Yeah, support it, yeah, because that's what it is for.
Everyone happy?
Yeah.
You're happy?
And Alan's starting.
I'm still reading his question.
And
then the next one is plot 4 on the so-called Bonnie Meadows.
These are all the various documents relating to that. I'll let you pass them around amongst yourselves. Do you need a pen, Alan? Okay, that's fine. The planning documents, they don't form part of the minutes, no, because they're available on the Copeland Borough Council website. So that all that will form part of the minutes is the reference number, the address and the proposal, and then whatever comments are made. But the planning, Copeland as a planning authority have a duty to keep them on their website. It's part of planning law. So if I put all planning applications on the minutes would be like, on some of my councils anyway, they would run to entire kind of catch-22 length minutes.
Just on the front, every single page.
No, they can't be legal if someone's score. I just need to know that they were signed and dated 9th. Oh, okay. I'll know that you were nominated. How did you get to speak to his wife in that time?
Maybe he's communing with them.
I don't know.
He suddenly always suddenly realised today. Okay, so what are the comments that people have on this?
I was talking a bit to me.
Yeah. It looks a bit bigger than was originally stated.
3 floors, isn't it?
Yeah.
Apparently he's saying because it's dormer, is that right? Because it's dormer, it's not classed as 3.
Yeah.
But I think it's big anyway. Yeah.
But it's a weird home, isn't it? That's what I mean. House is just 5 and 6 bedrooms, isn't it? Put it in the room. It's wrong with this one.
Losing the work too bad. Obviously, I don't agree.
So our objection is too big.
I think it's you put someone on an empty field, you know,